We are pleased to have sitting here right to my right one of my good friends, and a director of a very soulful, important documentary that you need to check out on HBO next Monday and forevermore on HBO. Eagles of Death Metal, Nos Amis, Our Friends. And I appreciate Colin Hanks joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show, and also for you to translate the French into English in the title of your.
We feel like that's an important thing to do.
I bet. Every
now and again.
Before we do get to your doc, I want to hit you on your favorite team, the San Francisco 49ers.
Yes.
And then you have a new head coach.
We do.
And Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah.
And you saw the Super Bowl. Did you see Super Bowl 51?
I saw the fourth quarter. I saw the fourth quarter. No, look, I will say this. I'm excited by the hire. Obviously, he's an incredibly talented individual. I think he's a very smart guy, so I think it's going to be a good direction. Wasn't necessarily surprised that Chip Kelly worked out the way that he did, but I actually felt that he handled that much better than I thought.
Yes, the whole season.
Yeah, I mean, not to speak ill of the man, but
sure,
that actually went. I mean, as bad as that went, it actually went better than I thought. I thought he handled it quite well. But,
wow, that is. By the way, it's fascinating to hear that statement, but I would agree it's accurate though.
I would agree the minority point.
No,
minority view.
I would agree that it's accurate, but it's interesting with Shanahan coming in. Yeah. And essentially being the guy that has most of the fingers pointing at him for the biggest collapse in sports history.
Yeah, now this is not necessarily like the hottest take right now. This is sort of like the holdover take from before the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Rough. That game, I mean, it's like you said, like how many days are we going to keep talking about, like, how did that happen?
Every day.
Every day. That was rough. But, I think... to bring it back to the Niners, I think it's important that they have a real identity that is not steeped solely in their history. I feel like we sort of have been missing that the last couple of years.
Right.
And hopefully this will be we're one step closer to sort of getting.
I'm going to give you something to as a silver lining.
I'll take that.
Sort of as a pre-parting gift for coming on the Rich Eisen Show.
For sure.
Because I've been thinking about this too. Because we had Steve Smith on yesterday, and he's basically like, if he was running the 49ers, he would have taken that 6-year contract and ripped it up and said, sorry, but we can't have you. Because the idea is to have a coach to win the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Here he was in the Super Bowl coaching.
Yeah.
And didn't work out.
Yeah.
Belichick, his first go-round, we had Michael Lombardi here just an hour ago in Cleveland. He had to get some knocks and pings, some dents in the armor, some forks in the road. I'm done with my cliche there.
But preferably those will be over the course of maybe only 2 or 3 years. Let's not just all get them done in 1 year and then kick the guy out. You know what I mean?
But maybe Super Bowl 51 was his cauldron.
I hope so.
And now he's gotten that sort of thing out of the way.
It's definitely going to be very different next year for him.
Who would you want as your quarterback? I mean, would you want Cousins or Kaepernick or any of these guys that are out there?
For me personally, I do sort of feel like it's very important that they sort of take a new step in a new direction. And so if it's a Cousins type scenario, I think that I'm open to that. Obviously, I think Cap is also ready to move on to the next chapter of his life, and I don't fault him for that at all. But yeah, I don't know. Regardless, I'm just glad it's not my job.
Colin Hanks here on the Rich Eisen Show. How was Kurt Warner to work with on Life in Pieces?
He was the best. He was great. I mean, it is very rare that you have anyone come on who eagerly wants to do a good job. I mean, so many actors.
But the character he played was...
and that was what was so different, is that normally people are like, I don't know, like, that's not really me. I mean, we have Kurt Warner coming on basically being... mean to a 8-year-old child and stealing her teddy bear. And most people would be like, I'm not really comfortable doing that. And anyone, I mean, him as well as anyone. Yeah. I mean, he is one of the nicest individuals there is. Yeah. And, good moral compass, all of those things. And he was on board from the get-go. There wasn't anything he said he was uncomfortable with.
Because, I mean, he was mean to an 8-year-old child.
He was, yeah.
So,
you know,
did you think he was playing out something that he's always
maybe,
wanted to do?
He may have been more method than he cares to admit. But we had a really good time with him on the show. He was fabulous.
Let's talk about your doc here. Okay, so you've been a fan of Eagles of Death Metal for how long?
For a long time, yeah. I mean, since they came out, I actually have known them for probably about 7 or 8 years. They've been good friends of mine. Joshua Homme, who plays drums in the Eagles, he also fronts a band called Queens of the Stone Age. So I've been following him for over 10 years, and our paths sort of crossed a while back, and we've since become very, very close friends. And the same goes for Jesse Hughes, the lead singer. And obviously, when the attacks happened in Paris, I was heartbroken. Not only because of the just the events themselves, but also it's very strange when your friends are involved.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that because your previous documentary, which was fantastic, everyone should seek out, about Tower Records. When you had a premiere here in town, you had
the band
Eagles
played,
of Death Metal playing at that event.
Yeah.
So what was it like for you, like the rest of us, sitting here and hearing the news about this horrible terrorist attack in Paris, and you're watching it on TV, and you hear about the band that was on the stage is people you know and a band that you love?
Well, obviously, the first thing you go through your mind is, I hope I see them again. I hope they're okay. First and foremost, you just sort of break things down pretty simply. I hope they're alive, and I hope they can come back. I spoke with Jesse 2 days before the attack. He had actually called me from the road. And he was telling me how good the shows were. I mean, he was just absolutely having a ball. And, I knew that the band was going into Paris, to go play that show, and follow them all on social media and whatnot. So when the news came in, I was just devastated. And there's no easy way to sort of to deal with any of that. And so I was able to sort of find out what was going on, and found out that the guys in the band were okay. They lost a crew member, but it was eager for them to come back, and when they did, I obviously reached out to all of them and let them know that I was thinking about them. But the unique thing, and it's one of the things that we sort of discuss in the movie, is Joshua, who's the co-founding member along with Jesse. He doesn't tour with the group very often because he has all of these other obligations to his other bands, and so. I instantly knew that this was a unique scenario because Joshua and Jesse are the closest friends. I mean, they've got this incredible relationship. And Joshua was in Los Angeles, and his best friend was in the center of not only his best friend, but a bunch of his friends were just in the center of a terrorist attack in Paris. And what struggle that must have been like for him. So, there were a lot of there was a lot of background that I was privy to being friends with the guys.
Right.
That I felt, would be maybe an interesting sort of way to sort of approach, this subject matter. Because I didn't want the documentary just to be about the attacks. I have no interest in rehashing that.
And also, I'm here with Colin Hanks. The documentary is about the band going back to Paris and all of the emotions as well. And the documentary just doesn't just follow the band. You found some folks in Paris, some folks from France who were coming back because they wanted to be back at this concert as well because they survived the attack as well.
Yeah, I mean, the whole genesis of this really came about because the band was about a year ago, this February, the band was going to return to Paris and play their first show back and resume their European tour. And so we thought that would be an interesting opportunity to sort of be there to sort of capture everyone sort of collectively moving on with their lives and, trying to make something positive out of all that. And I felt it was important that we talk to some fans who were there at the Bataclan that were able to survive that mess, but who care about music, care about rock and roll, and want to move on with their lives. And so we were able to reach out to a handful of people that were incredibly brave in speaking with us. They had not told their story to any other outlet, any news source or anything like that.
What was a story that you can share with us right now, Colin, that really just because you did the interviews as well.
Yeah.
You flew to France, you flew to Paris to do this, where you just were like, okay, this is this is really particularly moving?
I think there was so much about, obviously, the attacks themselves that were sort of talked about almost ad nauseum in the weeks afterwards. And, I was very adamant that, being there for the return show and bringing, a small crew with me, with camera operators and boom operator and all that sort of stuff. I said, look, we are visitors here, and we want to be able to be witness to what is happening, but we don't want to stick out. And I think one of the things that I'm most proud of is that we were able to document as best as we could, but we also knew when to put the cameras away and not be filming. And there was one particular evening, it was the evening that the band had landed. When the band landed in Paris, the people at Charles de Gaulle said that we were the only film crew to be allowed on the tarmac since Lindbergh had landed.
No kidding.
Which was pretty surreal to sort of hear. And so we were there and we were witnessing, everybody reaching out and really trying to make this band, feel welcome. And we were invited to a party that evening, which was just a handful of survivors that were just the survivors in the band just being together, just having wine, drinking, just being together, just trying to get through it. And to be invited to that and to put the cameras down and just be a part of that was really sort of one of the more special things. And that really is the thing that touches, I think, me the most, is not necessarily the horrible stories, but really more the good that's come from it.
Colin Hanks, the director of this documentary on HBO that hits the box office, if you will, on the 13th. And again, one of the stars of Life in Pieces, Eagles of Death Metal, Knows on Me, Our Friends. What an incredible story this is of survival and emotion and bridge building and healing, all in just one package that packs quite the wallop right here on the Rich Eisen Show. I'm going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to have some fun.
I'm ready.
Okay.
I got the goods.
You got the goods.
I got the goods.
We've got 6 new head coaches in the National Football League.
Oh, boy.
Again, this is you and we'll set it up, but this is something that this is a Hanks family tradition.
You're not going to want to miss it. Let's put it
there you
that
go.
way.
That's what we call same thing about your doc, man. I'm proud of you.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
I'm proud. I mean, Tower
that.
Records, and then this one too. Eagles of Death Metal, Knows on Me, Our Friends on HBO coming up on Monday. Colin Hanks when we come back here once again with Cube right behind him, and your calls here on this Rich Eisen Show. Colin Hanks right here in the Rich Eisen Show studio. Before we get to the game that captures the nation every time we talk about it, you were part of the NHL All-Star game here in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
What did you do? What was your role here?
I was the celebrity coach for the Pacific Division.
Okay.
And so they basically said, you want to come out and be the celebrity coach, you can stand behind the bench during the game and all that sort of stuff. And
so
be there in the locker room. And I said yes.
Okay.
I said yes. I jumped at the opportunity.
Uh-huh.
They had a couple of other celebrity coaches who I said hello to and then promptly never saw again.
Okay.
And I was the only celebrity coach that was behind the bench during the games.
No kidding. Okay,
Yeah.
so you're there behind the actual players.
I was there
who
behind
were
the
jumping over the boards, changing lines.
I'm on the bench next to the coach.
Yes.
During the games, I am in the locker rooms during intermissions. At one point, it was me, Pete DeBoer, the coach of the Sharks, Wayne Gretzky,
Get out of here.
Bruce Boudreau, and we're just sitting here talking. And I'm like, okay, where is everybody? Where are the other coaches? They were nowhere to be found. And so I'm convinced that there are a bunch of people who just think that I'm like, won some contest. Like I wrote an essay or something, my dream, I want to be a coach for the NHL. So I literally, there's no good reason why I was there, but I just soaked it up, ate up every single minute. It was an absolute dream.
Did you suit up, coat, tie, the whole thing? Did
No,
you do that?
I was going to do coat, tie, and I was actually going to dress up like Don Cherry. For the reference for all the hockey fans out there. But they said that they were going to give me a jersey to put on, and so they said, do you want Hanks or Coach Hanks? And I said, well, said celebrity coach. I should say Coach Hanks. Of course, I was the only one that had Coach Hanks written on it. I mean, literally, it was. I
Now,
was
come
like,
on. But deep down, though, you would have liked to have done the whole Barry Melrose thing or something. Suit and boot.
oh,
come
I
on
totally
out there.
done. I mean, I would have. I would have even done like a little mullet wig in honor
or not
of
even Melrose,
Barry
like
Melrose.
anybody else. Quenville. Like, get out there with
I
a
would
big
have
like chew
loved
gum
that.
and scream and yell at the
I
refs.
would have loved that.
Right? Like Herb Brooks, do the whole Herb Brooks thing
I
on the
would
bench.
have totally done it. The problem is that literally there was like no. It was like, all right, he's here, go.
And they give you a jersey?
I just kept waiting for, I was waiting for someone to give me the Spanish Archer, just give me the old elbow and kick me out.
Get you
And
out.
They never did. So I just hung out for the whole day. It was amazing.
Fantastic.
It was
All right.
awesome.
All right, Colin Hanks. Now, we've done this many times before,
Yes.
and we got to do it again. Let's try and make this a tradition. It's a tradition. Because
It
it's a
is
tradition
tradition.
in the Hanks household, correct?
It is.
For those who are just maybe seeing this or listening to it for the first time,
Yes.
unpack what we are about to do here.
Well,
on the
when the
Rich
old
Eisen
man and I get together and we watch the foosball, we'll watch the football, the old red zone, whatever it may be, any game actually, really, any football game.
Right.
We have a game of our own in which we look at the head coaches
Show. Yes.
of the teams, and we try to decipher what kind of stepfather that head coach is, based solely on appearance.
Genius.
Charlie Weiss was the originator.
Okay.
He was the original.
He was the George Washington
The
of this
founding
thing?
he was,
father?
he was the founding father.
Well,
of the,
what type of what type for?
I don't even remember.
You don't remember what Charlie Weiss
No,
was?
I don't even remember. I think, but it started off like, I think my dad said, hey, can you imagine what kind of stepfather that guy is? And then just led to 45 minutes of us just riffing.
Riffing. Okay.
As to what it is. And now it's turned into a thing. I came onto the old Rich Eisen podcast
Years ago.
Yeah.
and that's how this has sort of started. And then
Well, you've mentioned it on late night shows. So has your dad. Your
yeah,
dad
no,
mentioned it
it's-
on Letterman
it's
once,
a
I
thing
think.
now. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
this is the game is so fertile. He brought it onto Letterman, so that lets you know. That lets you know how
Okay,
important
so
it is.
we have 6 new head coaches in the National
Yes,
Football
we
League.
do.
And I would like you, Colin Hanks, to tell me what type of stepfather they would like to. You think that they are? Okay?
I'm ready.
All right. First up is Jacksonville Jaguars' new head coach, Doug Marrone. What do you think he
Doug
is?
Marrone. All right, so he is the kind of stepfather where you will be watching a movie with him,
Mm-hmm.
and the both of you will be petrified of saying anything to each other, and you will go the entire movie. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad. You'll go the entire movie. As soon as that movie's over, he will just say, "Good night." And that's it. That's all. That's as far as that communication line goes.
He comes from the Parcells Coughlin line of coaches.
very much so.
that makes there's a
Very
through
much
line
so,
here. There's
yeah.
a through line. Okay, new head coach for the Denver Broncos, Vance Joseph. Everybody, here we go.
Vance
What
Joseph.
type of
Let's take a
stepdad do you
look.
think
Okay,
Vance Joseph
Vance
is?
Joseph, basically, he says, hell, man, it's Saturday. I don't care how late you sleep in. Doesn't matter to me. Doesn't matter to me. That's pretty much what he says.
So there's no discipline coming in Denver? Is that what you're saying?
he basically just says, hey, man, whatever you want.
Okay,
I
that's
don't care.
Vance Joseph. Now here's Sean McDermott, the new head coach of the Buffalo Bills. What do you think right there?
Okay, so in this scenario, his wife, your mother,
Yes.
wants him to discipline you. Mm-hmm. And no matter what it is, it always starts off with, hey, son, I'm not a cop. And then fill in the blank.
Sean McDermott of the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
Okay, Anthony Lynn of your new Los Angeles Chargers. What do you got
The
for
new
Anthony
Los
Lynn?
Angeles Chargers, yeah.
Okay, what do you got for Anthony Lynn?
This one's a little bit unique. I actually had to write some of these down
Okay.
because there's so many new head coaches
There are, I know.
in the NFL. This one is, there's only one thing you have to do in my house. And if you don't know what that one thing is, then we have a problem.
Classic.
Anthony Lynn, everybody.
Yeah.
Pretty spot
Okay,
on.
now we just have a couple more to go. We figured before we get to the last 2 NFL head
Yes.
coaches, there's a new coach at Florida Atlantic University.
Oh, yes, I've heard
What-
of this.
What type
I've
of
heard of this
stepdad
gentleman.
Colin Hanks would Lane Kiffin be in your estimation?
Lane, oh, wow.
Look at that
Look
picture.
at that photo of
It's
Lane.
just him just looking, well,
He is the kind of stepfather when he's angry and he's
Yes.
trying to yell your name, he yells out all of your siblings and the dog's name before landing at your name. That's the kind of
so how would that
stepfather
go?
he is.
How would that go in your house?
In my house, it would be lit, chat, T-shirt, Colin. Put that down. That's what that would be. Yeah.
And the last one, you asked for a split screen between Sean McVay, 31-year-old new head coach of the Los Angeles Rams, and Kyle Shanahan, new head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. You wanted a split screen.
I got to split screen this because we're in some bold new territory here, gentlemen. These guys are too young to be stepdads. So we have, and I'm going to say it right now, we have a new subject here.
Okay.
It's not what kind of stepdads are.
Yeah.
These are the dudes that are trying to date your sister.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Look out.
These are the dudes that are trying to date your sister. Now, I'll be honest, I don't have anything for this. I don't have anything for, I mean, at best, I think they're going to just say like, hey man, your sister going to be there? Like, that's it. I don't know what it is. I don't know how they say it. I don't know how they approach it.
First down.
First down. Wow. I mean, really,
we broke new ground.
We're in a brave new world here. This is new territory here. These are dudes that are trying to date your sister, and we'll just have to come up with that on the next one.
Oh, Colin Hanks, you're the best. Come back whenever you want, always. And check out, again, Eagles of Death Metal, Nozami, Our Friends on HBO Monday night. At Colin Hanks on Twitter and also on Instagram. You're the best. Take care.
Same to you.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.